I'm very excited to bring you our very first episode of the Beautiful Aesthetics podcast. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and we're finally making it happen. So thank you for joining us and tuning in. Be sure to subscribe for future episodes. So Beautiful Aesthetics podcast is going to be about all things aesthetics, entrepreneurship, med spa ownership. We're kind of pulling the curtain back and giving you an inside look into the aesthetics world. There's a lot of education that I think can be shared that's unknown in the industry. So this podcast is going to be if you're a client who loves to get treatments, you're a skincare enthusiast, you're just into beauty, if you're in the industry as a med spa owner, if you're looking to open your own business, this is for you. So for this first podcast, I want to let you guys in on a little about me, about Stormie, how I got into this industry, my journey into it, all the way up until now with my own med spa called Beautiful Aesthetics. So we're going to start and take you all the way back to high school. So I graduated high school, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life at that point. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take the summer off, figure out what I want to do. Moved out on my own, out of my parents' house, and got a job at a aesthetic boutique called Moral Norman in my small hometown of Palestine, Texas. And that was my first, job in the world of skincare and makeup industry. And I loved it. Doing makeup, selling makeup, some of the skincare they had. I had the most amazing boss, Vicky. And what's really cool is that she now comes to see me here at Beautiful Aesthetics. So it's kind of a full circle moment. So I love that we've stayed in touch over the years because that was about 20 years ago. I then went in to work at a clinique, did not like that, doing makeup there. So prom, homecoming, it wasn't my jam there. I didn't love clinique products and skincare. And then I had a friend at that time that went into aesthetics. She went to an esthetician school. So I was like, that's it. That is what I'm going to do. So I've been thinking what I need to do. Aesthetic school, go to esthetician school. That's going to be my career. Will be a professional makeup artist was what I was thinking at the time. So I went to the aesthetic school, figured out what I needed to do to move forward with this. How much is it going to cost? How long is it going to take? Get to the school. I had my mom go with me. I have full support of my parents in anything I do, but everything financially was on me. So I'm like, I've got to get my life going and make a career of this. Figured out in Texas, it's about a 6-month course in Texas. I know it's different in different states, and roughly anywhere, 600, 900 hours for Texas, and then you're a licensed esthetician. So I got all the information I needed to figure out how to prepare for this and save up for the schooling for it. And that is where a very life-changing moment hit for me because, again, I was living on my own, super excited to start this new journey in my life, and I was in a car accident, and that did a number on me mentally, physically, kind of slid me into a little bit of depression at that time. So I was involved in this car accident and care flighted to the hospital. Heading into surgery, they told my parents, don't expect her to come out with her arm. And as a parent, that's hard for your child. But thank God I came out of surgery and they were able to save my arm and my hand. This, though, was not an easy road for me because here I am ready to start my journey into aesthetic school and the beauty world, and I've got a setback now. I've got this arm that's severely damaged. They were able to save it, but now what do I do? I've got one kind of half-working arm at this moment. So I had to move back home. I was 20 at the time when this happened. I had to move back home with my parents because I had 5 surgeries in the next year and a half after that. And going to physical therapy 3 times a week, there was just no way that I could work and pay all my own bills and go through this. So I was like, what am I going to do? I would look at my arm. I would cry every time they took the wrappings and the cast off. And I'm like, how am I going to make it in this world of beauty? And then I've got all these scars on me. I don't have full feeling. I want to go to aesthetic school. I want to do facials, and you have to have 2 hands to do that. And you have to get face massages. Like, how am I going to do this? Maybe this isn't for me. And then, I had a little bit of giving myself some time to think about it and be depressed. And then I got out of that funk and I was like, you know what? I still have this arm. I'm still here. So we're going to make this happen. Follow your passion, follow your dream. Don't let this setback deter you from that. So I still went to aesthetic school and made things work. You figure out how to make things work, whether you've got an injury, a disability, it just happens. I mean, even if I would have lost my arm, we would have still made this happen and still would be just as successful in the industry, I'm sure. So anytime you have a setback, don't let it stop you. Just keep going with it. So I went through aesthetic school, graduated, and had to do things differently, of course, because of the injury with my arm. But we did it. I met some really good friends in there, friends that have opened their own med spas, and it's really cool to see them being so successful as well in the industry. So I graduated and now I'm going into the big world and I've got the plan now. So I got a job in my little small town of Palestine at a small aesthetic med spa there and was there for a little bit doing facials and body wraps. And I was like, man, I really want to take this further and I want to move out of my small hometown and try to make this bigger. So I did. I took the resilience that I had to have from my wreck and made it through this. Let's keep going and take this further. So I moved to a bigger town called College Station. I started working at a OBGYN office. So one thing about my journey is that I have literally been able to experience every aspect of the aesthetic and beauty industry, which is really cool because I have a knowledge of all these different aspects, I'm so glad I was able to experience that. So first job in the big city, for me at the big city, College Station was at an OBG office. It had a med spa connected to it. That's where they had lasers. I was hired on to do their facials, chemical peels, and little body things. And I was like, lasers, this looks really cool. I need to learn this and get into this. So I did get taught how to do photo facials and IPL. Didn't really know what I was doing. In Texas at that time, you didn't have to be licensed by the state of Texas to do lasers. You didn't have to have any formal training, which is so wild to me. But you have to be licensed to do aesthetics. And I feel like you can do so much worse with lasers. You can burn someone. There's so many things that go into it. So anyways, I was trained by my boss at the time, the laser rep. And then I had a client. So I love my clients. I love keeping them as connections in life too, because you never know when that might be a good connection for something further on down the road in your life. And she's like, hey, I have a plastic surgeon's office that I told them about you and they would love to interview you. I'm like, wow, a plastic surgeon's office. Yeah, let's do it. So I interviewed with them. I took that job and facial plastics is also a whole new world for me. I was still a baby at this time in the laser industry and they hired me on to do some of the lasers and still aesthetic facial things. And that's where I got to do my first resurfacing treatment, my first resurfacing laser, which was Fraxel. If you don't know, they were the first to market for a resurfacing device. So that was really cool to learn those things and also be on the plastic surgery side of it. I was trained by the doctor there and the laser reps to do these machines. And it was really cool because I got to go into plastic surgery. Same as Dr. Teller. I love you. If you ever come across this and you watch this, thank you for all the knowledge and support that you gave me during that time as a young esthetician in the industry. I got to go in and watch some of the plastic surgeries he did, neck lipo, blepharoplasties, and that was a really cool experience that I still take with me today. So I was in College Station, and another connection reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm opening a med spa in Dallas, in the Dallas area. Would you consider moving from where you're at? I've been here for a few years now in College Station. Move to the bigger city and open this with me and be my laser tech and aesthetic person. And you kind of run it as yours. You do your thing. And I was like, gosh, yeah, let's do it. At that time, I'm young, have nothing holding me back. Let's move to the big city. I don't know anybody there. I do not have any family, but like I said, I'm taking my career as far as I can go, and I'm going to take every opportunity I have to further my education and knowledge in it. So I just started dating my, at the time, boyfriend, now husband. We'd only been dating for 2 months, and I'm like, hey, I'm taking this job. You can move with me, or I don't think we can do long distance. So he moved with me. We got a place together, and I started working at this med spa, and it was great, but it did not work out. Here I am. We moved to the big city. I've got my boyfriend, and I don't have a job now. So what do I do? I don't know anybody. I got on Craigslist, if that's even still a thing for job searching. I got on Craigslist and saw an ad to be a laser instructor at a National Laser Institute. It's a laser school that was coming to the DFW area, and they were wanting instructors for it. So their main location is in Arizona, and they were looking for instructors to fly to Arizona and train them to be instructors for their Dallas location when that got opened and ready. So at this time, they did pass a law that you had to be licensed in the state of Texas for lasers. Thank goodness for that. I was grandfathered in because I already had so many years under my belt. So I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. So I applied, I interviewed, and I'm like, yes, I want you to be a part of this group of ladies that we're going to fly out and train to be instructors for the laser school. When I got there, it was just me traveling by myself, get on an airplane, and I meet another lady that was also from Dallas going to fly to be instructor, and her name is Michelle. She is one of the most influential people that I have met in this industry, and that has been really turned into a big mentor for me. So she was on the plane, and I was like, she was so fun. We figured out we were going to the same place, and I was like, oh my gosh, this lady is absolutely beautiful. She does not look her age at all, and obviously, we know why. She's in the industry. She's been in the industry for a while. She knows all the things and all the skincare and all the treatments to do to take care of her skin. But we became besties on that flight, and then we wound up staying in a house together in Arizona with all of the other ladies that were there as well. And her and I shared 2 rooms that had a conjoining bathroom. So we shared that bathroom, and the other ladies were on the other side of the house. I had a little difficult time because I was still young. I was just a few years in, really into the industry, and people saw me as like a baby in the industry. And these ladies, guys, this was a hard time for me as well in the industry because I was so young. And these ladies were older than me, by 10, 15, 20 years, a lot of them. And some of them did not think that maybe I needed to be there, that I haven't put in my time and didn't have the knowledge to be an instructor. And they really did things to test me. But Michelle was my biggest supporter there. And, that's another thing. Like, I've worked hard. I started in the industry younger, which means I've gained more knowledge at a younger age than waiting a lot later in life to start a career. So I had to pick up that confidence, and that's one of the things you have to do too, especially if you're younger in the industry. Don't let anyone get in your head. You know what you can bring to the table. You know your worth. You know your knowledge. So don't let things like that get to you. And I almost did. If it wouldn't have been for Michelle, I probably would have flew back home because I was like, this is not right. But we went through it. We went through the school, and it was really amazing time. I learned a lot, went through the laser school for instructors, and then we flew back home. As with anything in construction, it never opens on time. So they kept pushing back the open date of this. And I'm like, I need a job. I need to work. I need to make money. I want to, really get more knowledge in this industry. So I wound up taking a job at a med spa that was a Dallas official med spa of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And this is another cool thing. Wow, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, and I get to do lasers and skincare on them. this is another lesson I learned. And I like sharing lessons that I've learned because with others, it makes you feel a little better about yourself if you go through these things. So it was not a very, it was very cliquey with the team that worked there. So I was out in 3 months. I left. Not everywhere is going to be a good fit for you. You have to be a good fit there. You have to feel comfortable working there and feel supported working there. And I did not. It was very mean girl vibes. So I'm like, I'm not going to be here. And I left, and I was like, we're just going to keep going on until this laser school opens. I wound up not working at the laser school because it took so long to open that I had gotten another job as a lead laser tech at a big med spa in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and loved it and gained more knowledge. And back to Michelle, who did start instructing there, she opened her own laser school because she is that woman. She is business-minded. She knows the industry, and she opened a laser school, and she reached out to me, and she's like, hey, Storm, do you want to come teach for me and teach at the laser school and teach these students? Heck, yes, I do. So I went into full teaching mode, started at the laser school, teaching students. So in the state of Texas, you have to be licensed to do lasers, specifically laser hair removal. Esthetician, laser tech, not the same thing. Compliance-wise in Texas, an esthetician cannot do lasers unless there's other rules, and we go into that in another episode. But we had a lot of estheticians that would come through. Texas, you have to do didactic hours. That's where you learn physics and the science behind the lasers. Then you have to have so many hands-on treatments before you get your license. And then there's 3 levels of laser certification. So you can graduate with your laser license, and then you can go up to your senior laser tech and then professional laser tech. I'm a professional laser technician, and my job at the school was the best because I love educating students. And to this day, I am still really close with some of my students that went through my courses for the few years I was there. And they're really successful in the industry, and that makes me so happy. And it makes me so happy when they reach out to me and ask for advice or say that I made an impact on them. So thank you, girls and guys, both that still reach out to me and that I follow on social media. I'm so proud of you guys. Some have opened your own places. Some are doing really well, have your own studios and aesthetic facial businesses. So congratulations and props to you. So I loved working at the laser school, and another job came knocking a few years in, and it was for a dermatology office. So I'm like, I haven't been in derm yet. So at this point, I've been in the industry roughly 10, maybe 11 years. And this time it was for a dermatology office. And I was like, wow, this is a side of it, of the industry that I have not been in, nor have I thought about being in. Although I did always teach my students, you know, if you see something of concern, don't treat it, send them to a dermatologist. This was a cosmetic dermatology office, and I took that job. Dr. McGinnis, thank you so much. I had some of my best years there as well. So a cosmetic dermatology is you have your dermatology side and then your cosmetic side. Your dermatology goes hand in hand with some of the cosmetic treatments because you've got people coming in with age spots, angiomas, rosacea, acne scarring, and you can send those patients right over to the cosmetic side for treat the acne scarring, help treat the pigment, treat the vascular, treat the rosacea with some of the laser devices. Loved that world of it. And then was there for a few years. So I always like to try to take my career as far as I can and take the opportunities when they arise. I don't ever want to think what would have been or what could I have done or think about not taking something. So when I was working at the laser school, you meet lots of connections with laser reps because they come in and they talk to the students. You want your students with hands-on all these different lasers and the different skincare companies. They reached out. The brand lasers, Cutera, Dr. McGinnis had a lot of those in his derm practice throughout DFW, and I had gotten some really good experience with those, and they needed a clinical trainer. So they reached out and asked if I wanted to join them as a clinical trainer, and I did. So Dr. McGinnis had something crazy like 19 Cutera devices. So I was able to get a lot of hands-on experience and have that knowledge behind it, and started clinical training. What a clinical trainer. So this is a big laser company, which was a really big moment in my career too. So if a doctor's office buys a specific laser, they have to send out a trainer to that practice and train their staff and the doctor. So I was bebopping all over the states, different practices, different states, and having the time of my life while also still working full-time at the dermatology office. And I would do weekend trainings. If I could, I would take a day off in the week. So at this time, my husband and I were married. I have 2 bonus kiddos. I just really loved the fast pace and chaos of it all. So I would do my weekend training. Sometimes you would fly in and then fly out the same day. A really cool experience I had with the training was I got to train on a cruise ship. I did not know that they even had med spas on cruise ships because I'd never been on a cruise. And they do. So I got to train on the Norwegian Cruise Line at port in Miami. And they have a little med spa and on True Sculpt and a resurfacing laser. That was really cool. I got to go in behind the scenes where all the employees go, and then got to do that again a second time in New York. So that was really cool to not only get to meet all these doctors and technicians and nurses at these different practices, but also experience some things that I probably wouldn't have got to experience and gone to places and experience that. So after that, with Cutera lasers came a pivotal moment in my career. I like to think so, because as an esthetician and a laser tech, you go to conferences to get educated, to learn more about the lasers, see what other doctors are doing treatment-wise, and to further your education. There is a big conference coming up for Cutera. They're big once a year. Clinical Users Academy, I think is what it was called. They asked me the day before I was flying out to this if I wanted to speak on a panel. And guys, this is really big, because typically when you go to these things back then, it's doctors on there. They're the knowledge behind these. And I never saw an esthetician or a laser tech up on the panel speaking with the doctors. So I was like, wow, do I take this? Yes, I do. So I told him I would do it, no preparation. And it was on a device that I was lucky enough to be in a clinical trial for, TrueSculpt ID at the time. And I was in the clinical study for that. So I really got to know the ins and outs of it, and also had some really good before and after pictures of patients that I had already treated. So we get there and I'm like, I'm really nervous because this is doctors and I respect them, and they have really done their time in the industry. And I'm like, I'm just an esthetician. Here I am. So I get up on stage and felt so comfortable, and we all talked respectively. But I get up there with 4 or 5 other doctors, and we just all talked about treatment settings and how we got the results with our patients. And nowadays, you are starting to see more of us, like estheticians and laser professionals, getting up there with the doctors and sharing our knowledge, and for me, I was like, okay, I should be confident in doing this, because I feel like I've put in the time, I've put in my 10,000 hours to feel comfortable to be up here with the doctors and respectively talk about my experience that I've had with the devices. And then you're up there and you're looking out, there's, like so many people that are just looking at you and every word. And that was really cool, because there's probably 300 to 500 people in the audience. So I felt like that was a big moment for me. I think that was big for my previous students to see that, hey, if I stick with this, I could be up on stage talking with some of the big dogs too, with the doctors in this industry. And it was really cool, because I got off the stage and I had people coming up to me and asking me questions and following me on social media. And that's another thing. Social media was not huge then. I had someone tell me I needed to start an Instagram and make it a professional one. I'm like, I barely do anything on my personal one. and, social media was kind of taking off. Now, even on social media, I'm seeing other estheticians getting on stage and sharing their knowledge. So I'm very proud of you guys. It really says a lot for us that we are doing our time and really getting the knowledge for that. Now, at that time, I got a call for another job from one of the laser reps of the company that I spoke for, a very prominent dermatology office in Highland Park in Dallas, Texas, was opening a business. She was opening her own derm office, and I got a little nervous because I've been in this situation before where, hey, I started at a new place, and it didn't work out. But I read up on her, and she's got a phenomenal background. And I was like, man, I feel like I'd be missing out if I didn't go work for this woman. And so I gave my notice at the derm office I was at. And that's another thing that was kind of a down for me, because I gave my notice, and it was one of those things where they're like, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And it was not an easy thing for me to give my notice. And they wound up coming back and apologizing to me. My point in saying that is, stick to your guns. You know your gut, what you want to do. Don't let anyone else talk you out of what you want to do. So sometimes in life with a job, sometimes the grass may be greener on the other side. And so take it and go see if it's right for you. And it was, and I'm glad I did. And it worked out to be a very successful dermatology practice. And I got to further my career there, work under a very successful doctor who taught me a lot about the business side of things, which I was kind of unaware of at that point too, and really let me kind of have it was my own place almost there. So I really met some really cool patients and friends in that industry, the derm side of it. And then I was like, okay, this is where it goes into the opening of Beautiful Aesthetics. And so at that point, I'd been in the industry maybe 16, 17 years. And I was like, okay, it's Beautiful Aesthetics time. Let's get this med spa going. I've worked in several different aspects of it. I feel like I've got that background and the knowledge, dermatology, plastic surgery, the med spa world, and training. And I got to see the ins and out of not only the places that I worked at, but also the different practices that I got to travel around the country and train at. So I saw things that I loved, and I wanted to take from them and incorporate into Beautiful Aesthetics. And then I also saw things that maybe I would do differently in my own practice. And that's when it all just started to evolve. I've always had this fear that oh my gosh, I'm going to leave a good paying job to open a business that, is it going to be successful? Is it going to fail? Are people going to show up? Those are things you don't know, but you kind of just take that leap and build your umbrella or your plane on the way down. So my husband, Robert, has been a biggest supporter for me and the industry, and very supportive of anything I want to do, any moves I want to make. And he's like, you know what, Storm, it's time. We need to make this happen. So we made the decision to do it in April, and by August we had the keys and we were open. We really fast forwarded looking at places in Frisco, that's where I live, to build Beautiful Aesthetics, have it happen. With Beautiful Aesthetics, some things that I came across in previous places or seen is I really wanted it to feel like home for the clients that came to see me. I didn't want anyone to feel like they were just a treatment or a number coming in the door. I wanted them to feel not rushed. So I wanted to have that time with them and really get to know them and let them know that they are valued, and have them come in and feel at home and comfortable and all the little things. And we're not rushing you. This is my own place, so I can do it the way I want. We really focus, and I want to focus on long-term fixes, not just the short-term fix for the clients. And one of the biggest things for me is getting to know their lifestyle, getting to know them on a personal level too, because you want to have them not just for that one time. You want them to become a long-term client of yours. So to sum it all up, that is my journey into the industry, back from my first job at the makeup counter to here I am as a med spa owner now, and met a lot of great people along the way that are still mentors for me. I do plan on having some really fun episodes coming up. We're going to be talking about skincare and treatments. I'm going to have guest speakers on. Michelle is going to be one of them. I have friends in the industry who have opened their own med spas, their own facial studios. I'm going to have them on to talk as well. That way we really are able to get that inside look on how do we do this? I get asked a lot, how do we open a med spa? What do I do to get into it? But we also want to talk about the failures. It doesn't always go as planned, and that's okay. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to our very first podcast of Beautiful Aesthetics. Be sure to hit the subscribe on whatever channel you're listening on, and follow us on social media, beautifulaesthetics.frisco, to continue with the behind the scenes look of our world. And I will see you guys next time. Stay confident.